Hello, I'm Chris Bowie-Hill and welcome to Vision, our regular catch-up with guests to discuss their views and vision of the world, be it property, future communities, technology or environment. Let's see where the conversation takes us. Today's guest is Yewande Akinola. Yewande is a multi-award winning innovator and engineer who is a prominent voice in the movement to increase diversity within engineering. She has worked on projects all over the world, as well as featuring on TV shows for Channel 4, National Geographic Society and CBeebies. Welcome, Yewande. Thanks for speaking with us. Yewande, we first met many years back at a previous employer where you were the graduate. And tell me about those early days. We had a lot of happy times, some great experiences. Why don't you tell me about those formative days that's kind of led you on this fantastic journey?
I just finished my engineering degree at Warwick, and I was really keen to obviously, start work. I wasn't sure exactly, where all the things that I had learned would find their home. I guess, a nurturing space for some of the things that I'd learned. By the time I was joining Arab Bristol, gosh, I was full of like crazy excitement. This was a dream come true for myself, a dream come true for mom as well. I couldn't quite believe that I was, living the dream as such. The interview process had been like, oh my gosh, like, you know, was it was intense, but it was also a big, massive relief because all of a sudden I just kind of thought, you know what, everything I've learned, right, actually fits into something. It's useful for something. And there's a place I can go to and use the things that I have learned. I was very nervous as well, Chris. I was really, really nervous. Um, I'd worked, for a year with Thames Water. I'd done a year in industry, but that was, I was very much guided and shielded in a way, in my year in industry, and then, coming to this into this big organization. I'd never been to Bristol before before I started to work in Bristol. All of a sudden kind of feeling, oh gosh, yes, now you are a proper grown up, really, really made me nervous. But yes, it was amazing.
It's probably an experience that many graduates can reflect on. This idea of, one step is you leave home and you go to university and you become self-sufficient to a degree. You're looking after yourself and everything that kind of comes with that. And then that next step to then go and live in a whole new town, new city, new people. You've now got this pressure of, well, you've got a salary coming in, which is exciting. You've got some money, but you've got to balance that. And I don't know, there's a whole host of things going on. And it's just a lot to juggle, isn't it? It's quite daunting.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole different ball game because I was paying council tax and and I'm like, okay, all right. I was paying bills. I was like, okay. I had to get the calculations right. This it wasn't, oh, okay, yes. You're doing an exam, and if you don't get it right, it's just less marks, right? Or you not getting a 70, but instead getting a 65. No, this was you have to get it right because the building needs to function right. You have to get it right because the clients have to be extremely happy with whatever it is that you've designed. So there's definitely a lot more pressure, without a doubt, definitely. And also like the feeling of also wanting to come across as, being, relatively confident, that you knew what you were doing.
So, of course, there was probably a key point in your journey, your fantastic journey, where you went and built the Titanic, didn't you? I mean, so, so tell us about that. I mean, it's not every day you get to build the Titanic, right?
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, again, right? That was again a result of the environment. So that was I guess you could say, an output of the fact that there were factors at play in the environment that I was in. So the email came round from somebody in the office, right? Somebody in the office had emailed round asking on behalf of a producer friend, for people to audition to this Channel 4's like big ambition to rebuild parts of the Titanic to its original specification. And when I went, oh, actually, this looks like it might be fun. And going through the process of thinking, okay, it was fun, potentially fun to getting the permission, right, to go and audition, and what turned out to, eventually be, okay, Yewande, you can, go off for a few months to film parts of, the building and reconstruction of the Titanic to its original specification. You can go off for a few months and do it, and come back and, use whatever learning that you've gotten from it, in the work that you do, and how you develop yourself, on from then. So environment, people support, and I guess fun factor. I mean, like, literally, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, right? I'd watched the movie, I knew the songs, yes, Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, but that was the limit of it, Chris. Like, I didn't know what techniques, were required to build parts of a hull. I didn't know how to rivet. I didn't know the welding techniques. I didn't know how to cast the 16-ton anchor. But then going on that journey and being exposed to the incredible industry that supported the build of the Titanic and similar vessels of the time, and really also understanding the history of this country and walking in the shoes of the men and the women who built the Titanic, and who, spun, the cotton that then turned into like the very, very, luxurious curtains, and, understanding the, the history and the design of the furniture and some of the spaces on the Titanic was hugely, hugely humbling. And also, I learned a lot of practical engineering. I learned how to go from design, which is what we were doing, right? We were designers at the time. I learned how to go from designing to manufacturing, right? And the process of actually thinking, you know what? We need to make sure that this design is fit for manufacture. And that for me was definitely a light bulb moment.
Have you managed to do much welding since? Is that a commonplace skill for you now?
I wish. No, no, actually, no. But you know what? Whenever it comes up, I'm always very quick to say, actually, I'm not so bad at welding.
Now, just picking up on the kind of the DEI piece, I guess kind of when you turned up on that show, am I right in thinking you would have been well, you definitely would have been the only black female engineer on that show. Were you the only female engineer on that show?
Yes, yes. So I was the only female engineer, as part of the presenters, because I think there was four of us. So myself, um, Brendan, Luke, and Dave. So there was four of us. I was the only female and black female, and black person, so BAME person as well, right? And if I'm very honest with you, at the time, I didn't really see it as anything, right? And that is because I was coming from a very, very diverse space. So what I mean is I worked with Arab, I came across, you know, female engineers. I came across people from different parts of the world, right? Um, I was very much into the idea of the universal language of engineering, so like zero barriers. Um, and so when I rocked up and was confirmed as one of the, the final presenters after going through all the different auditions and tests and everything, I didn't see myself as, oh, okay, wow, gosh, I'm ticking all the boxes or whatever, whatever. No, I just saw myself as one of four people who were going on an incredible journey and having lots of fun together. They must have really thought about the types of people that they brought together, and they nailed it. They really, really nailed it. But yes, it was only after. It was only we started to, only after it hit the screens and it was airing, and people would go, "Oh my gosh, like you're black, you're a female. Wow, isn't that amazing?" And then it was also at that point when I started to get like not so nice messages on social media that I then went, oh, okay, actually they're saying these things because I'm different, right? Yeah. So it was only after it was out on Channel 4 that I started to experience the I guess the nice parts and the not so nice parts of being the only female and the only black on the program.
The positive side, I think you were there clearly on merit, not for box ticking. You are an incredibly bubbly, happy person who's bright and understands all of this stuff. You should have absolutely been there, and I bet you screen check brilliantly. And let's face it, that's one of those things that you need to come across on TV, regardless. It's another skill set. Well, it's really saddening to hear, and I'm sure it was very, very tough on those social media things. I mean, how did you deal with that?
Do you know what? I think I was just surrounded by incredible people. There was more praise, right? Coming from the people that I actually cared about, and the people who mattered to me, than there was abuse from people that that they were pretty much faceless, as always is the case, right? Yeah. So there was much more to enjoy, and actually that set me up for life. It really did. Um, and I'm grateful for the experience because over the years I've had to get to a point where I remain grateful for the opportunity to um, engage with really interesting people. Grateful and also, um, in a state of mind that helps me see opportunity, and helps me see possibilities. And so I would say those days, when I got, abuse from faceless people, on social media and on websites and Facebook, whatever, they really set me up for today, help me grow that thick skin, help me just go, you know what, that's their problem, but there's this incredible opportunity right here to inspire a generation of great engineering innovators and technologists. So I'm kind of grateful for that experience.
Again, but this is you all over. Find the positivity in everything, and it's a really interesting expression we use, isn't it? It allowed me to develop a thick skin. I don't think that comes from having a thick skin. It comes from having a deep internal confidence of who you are and the value that you bring to society. And if some keyboard warrior wants to spout off about this, that, and the other, well, I don't know who you are and I don't value your opinion. In terms of like kind of where you are now, what is it you're doing, and what are your real passions and drives? What are the experiences like you've just described? Are you driving forwards and influence your work? And what are the kind of the innovation pieces that you're really passionate about and want to see grow into something bigger and more exciting?
Yeah. So So where I am right now, I guess is a reflection of um, varied experiences from the last, I know, 10, 13 years, 15 years maybe. So I had spent time out in the Far East, when I left the Bristol office. Um, I had worked in a country where I didn't speak the language. I couldn't even use chopsticks when I rocked up in Shanghai to start to work with the amazing team out there. What I have now learned to use as, you know, whether it's my next step, or it's, that daring project I'm going to, take up next. I've learned how to use my toolbox, right? And the experiences that I have had, the connections that I've made. I'm always picking up the phone to call people to go, you know what? I've got an idea, but I need your help. I'm not shy, when it comes to asking my network for support or assistance or trying to pitch ideas to people. Um, I'm, I've learned how to dig in and go, actually, you know what? It would be great to connect this person to that person and just see where that collaboration would end up, right? What magic would be created? What magic would come as an outcome? And so when I think about my future, it comes down purely to that. It comes down to me saying, what do I have already? Who are the people I have connections with? What are the ongoing projects that are potentially, useful to people and projects that people or that might shape, the future. And that's pretty much how a lot of things have happened, and actually how a lot of my, I guess, seeming success has come to be. This interplay of skills, friendships, network, crazy ambition, picking up the phone to, speak to people and ask for random things. In this country, and in a lot of countries, women are not at the heart of conversations around tackling climate change. They've got a lot to give, a lot to bring to the table, but there are unfortunately seeming barriers in place to stop that. I want to be part of pulling those barriers down, and really giving, not just 20 women, the opportunity to innovate. No, really scaling that number out to reflect the communities that we serve, to reflect, the population in different countries, to reflect the ideas that women are able to bring to solving our world's problems. Sorry, that was a lot, but yes.
I followed you exactly, and I completely agree with everything you say. And I think this is where you're a fantastic ambassador for it, for doing just that.
Yeah, the work continues, and Chris, we need people like you. We need we need allies. We need people who are facilitators, enablers. We can't do it, by ourselves and on our own, right? We need, I guess, that massing in terms of efforts, and we have to do it alongside our allies. We really do.
I guess looking ahead a little bit, if you were to try and look 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years ahead, and you were to put out there your vision for the future, try and convince me, and I'll see if I'm willing to put a tenner on it. But what do you think, or what do you hope for in terms of a realistic vision for the future where things are different?
Okay, so this is me being optimistic. Do you know what? I will start with, I hope in 20 years, right? All aspects of society are brave enough. And I say brave enough because I think that's one of the things that really holds us back. I would hope that we are brave enough to be clear about the change that needs to come to our societies, to where we work, our organizations, and really be very, very clear and action focused, to ensure that we're making sure that we're more diverse in our output, more creative in our output, more accommodating in our output, and just really ensure that we really disrupt the core of how we currently operate as a society. For people to say, actually, I'm going to be brave enough to say, actually, this is not right. This is not where we need to be. Right? This is what we need to be doing to take the next step in the right direction, and we are going to do it, irrespective of what we think that other people's perceptions of us would be. And I'm really hopeful for that. And we've got a huge, massive climate agenda. And actually, this is not about ticking boxes. This is not about going with the flow, right? This is not about, if we do it, if we don't do it, we would not have something to post about on LinkedIn. No, this is about us truly embedding the culture of protecting what it is that we have, right? As our beloved planet, a home. This is about really ensuring that the next generation have a good space to exist in. I would really want us to embed that in, design. I'd want, the financial services industry to also embed it into its operations. I would want the construction industry to feel free enough to change its or adapt its delivery model. To really adapt its delivery model to become innovative, such that it's able to contribute significantly, right? Not just, oh yes, we did this tiny little thing here. No, to be able to, contribute significantly to the efforts towards tackling climate change. And yeah, I'd say pretty much those things. And me being optimistic, I'd say 50 years from now, there'll definitely be a dial in the way we currently do things. And I say that because we've got a generation behind us who are determined. How exciting! We've got a generation of people, of thinkers, of brave thinkers who are determined to challenge older generations, to be able to say, actually, you know what, you companies that keep on going on about, profit margins and profitability and da 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 da, actually, all that stuff doesn't matter if you can't ensure that the planet and the societies that we operate in would be better suited for us, more fit for purpose for us, more fit for purpose for, the eco-diversity that we need to be experiencing here and now. And that is so exciting. That's really cool, actually. Really, really cool.
But you know what? You really took the words out of my mouth, that last bit. I was going to say, I absolutely share your optimism, and
Mhm.
it's for that bit because, when you talk about a 20-year time frame, that is that's the 10-year-olds of today being 30 and having really quite a significant
Mm.
influence on the world. And again, I look at my kids
Mm.
who are 10 and 11, and I can really see that they are the
Mhm,
drivers for
mhm.
change. They can really make that happen. So yeah, so I'll put a tenner on that.
Yay!
And yeah, I share your optimism. A brave new world. And on that 50-year timescale as well, not that either of us were alive during the 70s, but that was 50 years ago. And you see TV clips and the likes from the early 70s and the social discussions that were going on, and what a different world we live in now. And rate of change is significantly greater now than it was back then. So I'm excited with you. I'm
Yeah, yay!
deeply optimistic.
Great,
Well,
fantastic. Yes.
well, Yewande, look, it's been far too long since we caught up, and I'm not going to leave it that long again. Our discussion's been absolutely fantastic. You have a brilliant weekend, and we shall certainly catch up soon.
Thank you, and you as well.